Good day, everyone. My name is Apiwe Mawela, also known as the Brewster. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of A Drink with the Brewster. This month, we're celebrating Africa Month throughout the month of May. Africa Month is celebrated throughout the continent to commemorate the founding of the Africa Union, which happened in 1963. Africa Month, it's about celebrating Africa, celebrating who we are as Africans, celebrating the food, the drinks of Africa. And to commemorate the Africa Month, today we're having Katchie Nzama as our guest, first guest for the Africa Month, because Katchie, like myself, is very passionate about Africa. She's very passionate about beers in Africa. She's the first person that I know that has traveled from Cape to Cairo, exploring the African continent. Welcome to the show, Katchie.
Hello, Apiwe. Thank you for having me.
How are you?
I'm tired of lockdown. Send beer.
What are you drinking? I'm having a mohope lager. I remember first time you saw this, you were like, is it mohope? So mohope is a southern Sotho name for a calabash. As you can see, they've got a calabash. So that's what I'm having to celebrate Africa Month, the beginning of Africa Month. What are you having?
I'm having sparkling water. My life is too basic right now. I'm having sparkling water for real.
The problem with you is that you love beer, yes, that's a given, but you just don't want to make it, huh?
No, I figured I'm really good at drinking it. You are really good at making it, so I'll let you make it and I'll drink it.
So you see now, you're stuck at home in the lockdown and you have nothing to drink.
Nah, even if I was to, I have this thing where I should not learn how to do certain things. I should leave it to professionals because I lose, it loses that touch of being special. So I imagine if I was to ever brew a beer, I'd probably stop enjoying having a good beer, which is a terrible idea. So that's why I would rather come to the Brewster, find more hope, and drink some more hope.
More. The Sotho people are gonna kill you right now, yeah?
2 days ago, the snow started falling in Lesotho.
Yes.
And I was telling my friends, because the last time we went there, we went for winter for skiing. And I was telling my friends, yo guys, we gotta go back. There's mohope and there's also a maluti that we need to drink up in there. We gotta go back. So I don't want to have mohope at Brewster next time. It has to be Maseru or something.
So tell us about, I'm sure you've been asked this quite a lot. This was your what I would say your claim to fame, traveling from Cape to Cairo, breaking the borders. Yeah. How was it? Briefly tell us about the experience. What brought about the thought of doing that? It's something that the young lady from Venda woke up one day and decided, you know what, I'm gonna travel. I'm gonna show them.
It was curiosity. It was honestly curiosity, like being in high school, being so exposed to all these people from different countries and their different accents and the way that they dress differently and so colorfully. But they're also African. What is it? So what is so different? So that curiosity met together with hate of being in corporate. I really hated corporate. I was the most miserable. So it just made sense to say, I don't have to sit in traffic anymore. Let me just go and explore the African continent and we'll see how it goes after that. And I did. And once I did Cape to Cairo, more people wanted to pay me to travel more of Africa. They wanted me to drink more of African beers. So I went with it. And 7 years later, it's a career.
Wow. And people think what I do is fun. I think what you do is like by far.
I honestly do think I've got the greatest job ever.
Yeah. So like traveling through, I mean, I followed some of your stuff,
Yes.
and realized that you also had a lot of issues getting into certain countries. Just briefly, how did you handle that? How was that? Do you think, like, going back to some of the, because I see you do a lot of West Africa,
Yes.
a lot of travels into Nairobi and the other Uganda.
One
City
thing
goes
that
quite often.
traveling Africa becomes hard in terms of documentation, like getting a visa, but then also the what do you call them? The not the police, but like the people who enforce laws, like through
At the
borders or
borders.
yeah,
Yeah.
border officials, like those kind of people. There's a lot of military that you find everywhere across the continent for security reasons. They become very difficult to deal with as well. So the one thing that has helped me is the fact that I hate the fact that you are sipping a beer every once in a while, because I want one so bad. So,
I still love you. I still love you. I still love you. I still love you.
I promise you, this lockdown, the day they say you can have beer, I am coming to raid your brewery. I'm raiding. You know I know where the fridges are. I don't even need to go. I'm just going to find me a beer. So, the one thing that I found with the difficulty with dealing with law enforcement, being a young woman with such a petite body size,
Yeah.
speaking up helps, and you need to look them in the eye, because apparently African women should not speak up to men, and we should not look men in the eye. So that always threatened them, because they always thought, who is this girl and why is she so loud and opinionated and standing up for herself? So that's how she's the enemy. So that's how I pretty much got around.
Okay. I was telling somebody that, me and you, how I got to know you. I don't know if you remember. I don't know your story, how we got to meet. But for me, I remember I was doing some stuff with Tepo from SAP. I think that was like maybe like 2-3 years ago, and he was like, you know what, Akwe, there's this girl, you have to meet this girl. You guys are like so alike. You guys are sharing same passions and I think since then I've had lots more people that tell me, you know what, you have to.
I remember one night I went out and I met your cousin. And when your cousin found out that I do beer blogging, she was like, "Oh my goodness, you have to meet my cousin. You have to meet my cousin." I was like, "Is your cousin Apiwe by any chance?" And she's like, "Yeah." Like, no, don't worry, Apiwe's my girl.
No, it's actually quite. I love your passion for beer, and I love the stuff that you do for Africa. I think just going back to your travels and the beers that you've tried, I'm gonna put you on the spot. So we're gonna divide Africa up, east, west, central, SADC. I don't know if you've done the northern countries, the Moroccos. Okay. So let's do each region, and maybe let's start northern, move up to west, east, central, and SADC, and then talk about your favorite beer experience, the beer to have if somebody travels there in that region. I'm putting you on the spot.
Well, you're not putting me on the spot, but I feel like I'm very biased when it comes to North African beers, right?
Why?
But every time I've had a North African beer, it was like, yo, I need to breathe. And it was always under trauma, like you got stuck in a water for 3 or 4 days, you couldn't bath. It was like terrible things happening, and eventually you go and you find a hole, because you must remember now you're dealing with Muslim countries, so you must go a hole, and then in that hole they're gonna hook you up with a beer, and then sometimes you look at it and you're like, you're imbilento, because like it tastes like you're drinking ginger, like so I'm very biased with North African beers. The only beer in North Africa that I had peacefully was in Morocco, in Rabat. It was a Casablanca, and the problem with that was because they discourage drinking of beer in Rabat. They actually, in Morocco as a country, the beers are so expensive that you are better off just buying the hash and getting stoned. That's literally what people do in Morocco. No, I tell you the truth. Abelung will go to Morocco to sit on rooftops for 6 weeks at a time.
Yeah.
6 weeks. It is the most amazing experience ever. I did it for 2 days. Yo, go to Morocco and experience this, please.
Okay, I don't know if I want to add Morocco on my bucket list. It was never there, and I don't think I want to add it. So let's move to West Africa.
West Africa doesn't actually have a lot of beers. West Africa has like 2 or 3 beers, which they mainly it's a lot of Heineken and SAB obviously. But then what they do is in each country they are going to give it a different same name, but the branding will look different. So you're gonna drink I think it's Crown. Why can't I remember my West African beers? So in West Africa, yeah, you're gonna have there's only like 2 or 3 beers. Pardon?
Yeah, go check it out. I mean, I have to be honest, I haven't traveled to Africa at all, and I think you actually inspire me. As much as I talk about loving Africa and being all African,
We're gonna go and drink this beer.
I have not traveled my continent at all, and I do hope those that are watching now actually also getting inspiration to travel. I know we can't travel now because we are all on lockdown. And most of the countries are also on lockdown, but I do think anybody who's watching that you have to put it on your to-do list to just see what's out there, try see what beers are out there. I think I was fortunate enough with through my dealings with my relationships with SAB, not dealings, my relationship with SAB to have been exposed to some of the beers, and I think at last year's it was a beer boot camp where we had the guy who's got a microbrewery in Ghana. He actually came down here, but unfortunately didn't have any beers with, but he talked us through his craft brewery. It was quite interesting because they use all 100% sorghum to make all sorts of different styles of beers.
I think
so have you found
the other nice thing about beer across the continent, when I started traveling the continent about 7 years ago, beer was, though each country had one beer. It was like a beer per country, where when you came from South Africa, like you have a million options when it comes. You've got your beer, you're gonna have
7 years ago it didn't have a million options though.
No, there was quite a huge option if you think about it, because the black labels, the Castles, the Heineken, all of that stuff.
Yeah,
like, we options and options and options before we even come into the whole craft brewery. We had options of mainstream beers that other countries did not have, and if you wanted a Heineken, for instance, you had to go to the 5-star hotel, and it was ridiculously expensive. But and at the time there was no ciders. That's how I started drinking beers. I was a cider girl. I used to only drink ciders. I only wanted a cider, and I then got to a point where there was nothing else for me to drink unless I'm going to go to a 5-star hotel, which if you're in a village, that's not even an option. So you start drinking whatever locals are drinking.
Available. Yeah.
Yes, and that's how I started drinking beer and exploring all these different beers. But then now, even in Kenya, there's a whole lot of breweries that are coming up.
Yeah.
Coming up. But the thing is, those countries are so hard for them to actually become like known brands. So somebody is like in South Africa, we've got craft beer festivals and stuff like that. Whereas that side, they can't have something like that because that's going to be too expensive. And people are like, but I can just have a local beer. People don't.
I mean, even this side. Yeah. I mean, like, how many people in Limpopo know of Swagala, for an example?
See, we need to trade craft to my people up here.
Anyway, we were still in the West Africa trying to figure out which beers did Katchie enjoy, and which local beers.
West Africa has a star beer. And also, Savannah is a very popular in West Africa.
is it? Savannah Dry.
Yes.
Okay.
Savannah Dry is so popular in West Africa. So West Africa has the Star beer. Star it's a Heineken. And then the other thing is the more you go north, West Africa, like Senegal, it's more European beers. And then if you go to Cape Verde, that's where you'll find the Portuguese beers. So the Portuguese colonies always have Portuguese beers. They don't actually have their own local brews, which is something that I noticed. So in Cape Verde, they had a beer called Kuka, which if you want, you can drink it as it is. It's a lager, but you can also drink it and mix it with Sprite. And that was a thing. And then when you go to Sao Tome,
why would you want to mix it up with Sprite?
I don't know, because you want it to taste nice. I don't know, like if maybe
it's not good enough. Okay, anyway.
No, that's the thing. They don't have options where if I like ciders and sweet alcohol,
kind of stuff, yeah.
Have a cider. So if you mix it with the Sprite, then you get that sweetness. And in most cases, it was the women that mixed it with the Sprite. The gents would drink it as it was.
Not this woman, huh? Not this one.
No. Me, I drank it with the gents. I drank it with the gents. Drank it as this. And then, see, the islands are always weird places. So, in Sao Tome and Principe, in Sao Tome and Principe, they have one beer. And that is it. And that beer is called the National Beer. The bottle is brown. So the beer bottle is brown and the lid is a normal silver cap. It's got zero branding. It's not allowed to be branded.
Oh, please don't tell Becky Kane.
No, you cannot do us like that. Yo, we're having a hard lockdown already as it is. So they can't do us like that. So yeah.
And then in terms of local traditional stuff, did you get exposed to that, like the traditional beers?
Only in Southern Africa. Well, they have Nigerians have what is this white? They've got this white.
Cassava.
I don't know. I drank it at
Oh, it's a drink.
Yes, it's a traditional. It's one of these traditional brews. I forgot what it's called.
Okay, no, don't stress. I'll have to check with my Nigerian friends.
There's this white. It's a white substance, and it's so easy. I've got it on the tip of my tongue, but I can't say it now. I forgot. But the one that I absolutely love, Botswana have kadi.
Botswana from where? Botswana from Botswana?
Yes, kadi. When I was in Maun, the northern parts of Botswana, there's kadi.
Yeah.
It's kadi is basically hunter's gold.
The excitement in your face.
No, that stuff is delicious. That stuff is delicious. If there's one thing that Botswana did right, in Botswana, I was on kadi, guys. Kadi was the goal. Kadi was the
Okay, let's move on to East Africa. Your favorite part of, from what I've seen on your travel notes and your blog. So if you want to follow Katchie, she's hosted by the Soul Wanderer on. I'm right, that's your handle on Twitter.
The Soul Wanderer.
So you can check out her all the stuff that she posts. She posts quite a lot. If you thought I posted on social media, you haven't seen Katchie's postings. So anyway, she loves going to East Africa. I think she goes there more than the rest of
Well, East Africa is the easiest spot to travel to. And I always say this to South Africans. If you would like to explore the African continent, you have to start with the SADC and then go east. Because those are the only two regions where tourism is developed, and you're not going to struggle with transport. You won't struggle with language. Okay, you may struggle in Tanzania. You'll definitely struggle with language because it's more Swahili than anything there. It's East Africa is easy. Also, if you're on a South African passport, it's you don't need a visa. You just go.
Just go. Like you go to Cape Town. Just go.
Yeah, it's actually cheaper to go to East Africa than to go to Cape Town. Most people don't know that, and that's why I'm constantly in East Africa.
Yeah, I see you there like every so often. And so, what has been your favorites? Beers. What stands out?
Uganda has the Nile.
Oh, I love the Nile.
See,
the Nile Special.
The Nile Special. I discovered Nile Special when I was working with SAB, with SEPA, when we did Africa through beer to Uganda. And it was a week filled with a Nile Special. But you see, the difficulty with the rest of the continent is there is no beer culture like we have. But
even we don't have it as such. In South Africa, we don't really have. I mean, that's why we're on lockdown and not banned alcohol, because we drink to get drunk. We don't have a beer appreciation. You know, like the face you made when you talk about this beer is like you can see it in the face. It's not just like I want to drink this and get drunk now. It's appreciation. We don't have that.
The thing is. That becomes a different topic in my opinion, and I know a lot of other young people who are passionate about beer, about just discovering and exploring the different flavors that are there. And then there's people like myself who my beer drinking is about actually, it looks fun, but I'm actually educating you about what you are drinking and what you should be looking out for. Like, what is a beer supposed to taste like and why that is important. And that becomes important because we have a culture of people who use beer as an escape. And that's literally why we can't have beer right now, because people are using it as an escape, and then we all end up in the hospital beds, and we can't afford to have that during a pandemic. And all of us who actually do love the beer and do not use it to depend on it, we're kind of taking a knock because, yay! Oh, we miss you, my God.
Cheers! Cheers to that! Okay, let's go to Central Africa.
Central Africa.
Narcis, your...
It's Central Africa. There's a regab in Gabon. National would also be Sao Tome, so that is also Central Africa. There are beers in Central Africa. I didn't discover much of the Africanness besides the people and their cultures, but most of the products were actually from Europe. So, for instance, Angola also has Cuca. Most Angolans believe Cuca is an Angolan beer, but Cuca is pretty much in the other Portuguese colonies. You're gonna drink Savannah as well. You're gonna have Costa Light. The only difference becomes their bottles will be different from ours because they could be smaller.
Okay.
Oh, that's the Nigerian drink that I was thinking about. It's palm wine.
Oh, palm wine. Oh, yes.
Palm wine. I
mean, all the Nigerian movies will have that when I watch them.
I really tried with palm wine. It's not for me.
It didn't.
It's not. Even they had it in Botswana as well. It's not for me.
Okay. Let's move down to, we're gonna talk of SADC region but exclude South Africa, and then we're gonna do South Africa last because we think we're special. But anyway,
East Africa has the Desham beer in Ethiopia.
Isn't that in Mozambique? Oh, okay.
It's in Ethiopia, the northern part of Ethiopia, in Gondar, and that's where the brewery is. And basically, they have this huge beer garden, and this is a touristy place. So we all went to this beer garden. We all met in the streets. We were just a bunch of random travelers sitting randomly at the restaurant, and Katchie just started speaking to everybody, and we ended up being friends. There was about 9 of us. We ended up being friends, and then we went to this beer garden, and for like a 500 mils, it's like 5 rand for a beer. So that's a beer experience worth having in Gondar, Ethiopia. And then in Southern Africa, there's a Mosi in Zambia.
Mm-hmm. But that's more for me. That's like Castle Light, like when I had it.
You figured it was like Castle Light. I really liked Maluti. I really loved Maluti. But also, I think Maluti, when I tasted it in Lesotho and when I tasted it here in SA, was different. And I will tell you why. There's apparently a whole science behind it. I noticed.
Yes, Brewmaster. Tell us, Brewmaster.
Actually, when I was in Lesotho, I realized that in higher altitude, you can actually consume a lot more alcohol. And also, that's why when people are on an aeroplane, they just keep the drinks going because they think they're that. And the moment you start coming down and you're landing and you're like, oh, I think I had too much. So in higher altitude, also something about your palate. The beer it's so smooth. It's so beautiful. So in Sadek out of SA, Maluti is my beer.
Okay. My favorites are as from Mozambique.
Deshem.
I love Deshem. I love Mexican beers. What else is there? St. Louis from Botswana is also not so bad.
Also Tafel in Namibia is not so bad. It's okay. Namibia, Tafel. Tafel over Heineken, over any day for me personally.
I agree.
Being in Namibia, you have access to all the beers that we have here in South Africa. Namibia is like another home.
I also enjoyed Sibebe first time I had it. I thought it was
yes, Sibebe, Swaziland.
Yes.
Such good memories.
Am I making this lockdown more difficult for you?
This lockdown you know this lockdown has taken away my whole career in tourism and beer. Everything is gone. And that doesn't even bother me. I actually don't care. The one thing that's hurting is the fact that guys, I can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
I can't go anywhere. I'm just like you see this tourism province, people sharing travel content. There were certain things that I would look at and I'm like, there's like drums, you know, when you go somewhere and white people sit around a bonfire drumming and stuff. I never do that. I'm like, now I want to do that because I'm tired of sitting in the house.
Well, let's talk about beers in South Africa. I know I'm putting you on the spot. South African beers.
Well, I'll always be a Black Label girl. Zama, like all the way. I do love the Sabi Brewing Company.
Oh, okay.
And Zwagala. The one thing that
your love for Zwagala is more than just the beer.
Those are my boys. Zwagala's mandate is to only employ hot boys. How is that for pretty people? Wow. Oh my goodness. I think the one thing that I have loved with craft beers in South Africa, it's not necessarily the regular lagers or vice or whatever. They may have good beers, but the one thing that people don't know about these craft breweries is they will have like little beers that they make like in tiny little batches, just experimenting. They just do the stuff for themselves. So if you have a relationship with Sabi Brewing Company and then you just don't let them know you're coming, they will hide their good stash. Just rock up and you'll be like, what up guys, how's the beer going? I promise you're gonna discover some amazing things. So I had a Chipotle beer at Sabi Brewing Company. So the beer had chili.
Okay, I've never had that. Is that one of the main lines or is that a small batch?
It was one of the small tiny batches.
Okay.
The brewer was just like playing around with the 20 liter and he made a Chipotle beer. It was a stout. I'm not big on stouts. I find them to be very heavy for me. But that one. So that's what the story. That one is I will always talk about that beer.
And anything you biased because now you like from the north, so obviously like now okay, let's go to the other side. Yeah, but it's on the way.
So yes, I am very, very biased. I have actually what's this place? They have good beers and they actually have a wide range even of ciders. They had the brew festival, the craft beer festival earlier this year. You were there.
Clarence.
Yes. Also has really good beers. The last time I checked, they were also playing around with gins, with spirits and stuff like that. So they actually have a whole. When it comes to beer tasting at craft breweries, Clarence one is the best because literally you don't drive when you go there.
And they've got a wide range. Yeah, I agree with you. And the beers are all.
Go to Clarence. So they have in Clarence, the small town, they have like sort of like a cul-de-sac town.
There's
hotels.
The town center. The town center.
Yes. So just those B&Bs and just stay there because it's a walking distance, and then go for a beer tasting at the Clarence Brewery because Uzotawa. That's guaranteed. The range is so wide. Like if you have to taste every single thing that they have, you are going to get drunk. You are going to get drunk. But they do have, and they also have nice food. So.
Katchie, me and you can sit and talk the whole day, but unfortunately we don't have the whole day. I think one last few things for me would be just to ask you, how are you going to celebrate Africa Month? I mean, I know you probably not have much to do, but do you have anything planned?
No.
I saw you were rebranding.
Yes, I am rebranding. The Solo Wanderer is rebranding. I've got some exciting stuff that is going to be coming up. With the lockdown, because of the tourism industry, I'm trying to find ways in which I can also support the SMMEs in the country in terms of encouraging South Africans to travel around South Africa, because if we have to rebuild the tourism industry, it's going to have to be from us. So we cannot wait for the foreigners to fly in because the borders will be closed. So I'm rebranding. That's going to be happening. I could become a regular in your living room post lockdown.
That's something we spoke about. For a while.
Yeah, so that is going to be happening, and I'm hoping this lockdown ends because there needs to be the Solo Wanderer Brewster collaboration. After this, we need to have a collaboration. The people deserve nice things. We must give them nice things. So yeah, I'll probably celebrate Africa Month by just doing a thread showcasing the beauty of Africa. The beer thread will always come up because people actually love the beer threads. 2 days ago, people were actually asking me to do a beer thread of beers across the continent, and then yeah, that's I'm just gonna try and behave and sit in the house until they tell me, okay, I can come to the Brewster, and then I'm coming to raid your fridge. Everything.
I don't have stock. Please don't tell people to come to the brewery. I don't have stock.
No, people are not invited to your brewery. They need a meeting. I don't. I am coming.
Thank you so much, Katchie. So that was a drink with Katchie. We're just talking about beers in Africa. So if you've traveled Africa, please share which beers you've had, which beers you enjoyed. Make a comment. Let's have a chat. So next week, or the next coming weeks, actually, we're gonna have different people coming from the different parts of the continent, showcasing the beers that they make. So next week, we're gonna having a chat with Jessie Fain from Rwanda. So they have the first microbrewery in Rwanda. So we talk about the beers in Rwanda, what they're doing there, and all the great things they're doing in Rwanda. And then we have also somebody from Namibia that's going to come talk to us about what the craft scene is looking like there. So please tune in. Thank you to the next episode of A Drink with the Brewster. Thank you so much.